Hello and welcome viewers. The COVID-19 pandemic was a game changer for traditional pharmaceutical companies. Government policy apart, pharmaceutical companies had to overnight scale to economies to meet the burgeoning market. Not only that, they had to scale to operational excellence. So what does it take to attain operational excellence? Today, we are going to have with us Mike Martin, who is the President and CEO of CAI, who will tell us how CAI has been helping pharmaceutical companies across the world achieve operational and strategic excellence in their goal to meet market and business outcomes. Hello and welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
So, Mike, let me start off with asking you this first question of mine. What is CAI's mission and vision statement globally?
Yeah, so we're a company that's been in existence for 26 years, founded on some principles that I'll describe to you. But basically our mission is to be a trusted partner for the clients that we serve. I think in business, all things work best together when we trust each other. And so we are built on relationships and connections with the people that we serve in such a way that we can solve the real problem and not be debating other parts. So as a company, we were founded on some principles like integrity. We do what we say what we mean, we honor the trust of the partnership. We're built on service. We serve each other in our company, supporting each other, but also, and maybe more importantly, we serve society. So we have a vision of helping people and improving the world. And then we're focused on the future. And so we are looking forward to not just the future of our company, but the future of the people in the spaces that we serve, the clients that we serve. And so those are the principles on which we're formed. But essentially we take all those principles and this idea of trusted partnerships, and our goal is with our clients to deliver integrated solutions, which we can talk about in this interview, that improve operations. So we're looking at operational readiness, how you start a plant up, or operational excellence, how you operate a plant at the highest level possible. And that's really the core of what we are as a company and where we've journeyed for 26 years.
Sure. So that leads me to the next question. CAI, for the longest time, for 26 years odd, has helped numerous clients, particularly in the pharmaceutical and life science industries, to achieve operational efficiencies. So how has COVID-19 particularly changed the way pharmaceutical companies had to scale up, and what did they have to do differently than before?
Yeah, as you mentioned a little while ago, COVID-19 was a game changer. A game changer not just for the pharma industry, but for the world. The whole world had to behave differently, had to interact differently. And so the pharma industry really had to focus on how do I, as a company, a pharma company, how do I deliver a life-saving medication, vaccination, to the world in a rapid pace at very high quality and gain the trust of people as that's done. And so pharma companies had always focused on that, but the time period was so short. That time period being so short required a very intense focus on how it's done and doing it well without fail. So I think that's part of the way the pharma industry evolved in the last couple of years, and it will take its lessons from that and apply that to the future. And I think that makes an exciting future for the pharma industry and for companies like ours that serve in that space.
Sure. So over the past year, CAI Professional Services has come into existence in India. So what are the strategies or the customers, or how are you really looking at the India roadmap?
Yeah, so a little over a year ago, we were looking at India, certainly before that time, but a little over a year ago, we decided, let's open an office in India. And that was driven from several thoughts and ideas and experiences. One, I've been in India a couple of times. I've lived in different places of the world, so I've experienced different cultures and have learned a lot from that, and I've just really enjoyed being around people. I noted the last time I was here working on a very complex project. I won't say who it was with, but it was being executed somewhere else, but by the intellect of people that are here in India. engineering design, very complicated engineering design. And I watched this group of people design a plant remotely. And I was insanely impressed by that process. Really, really intelligent people that were really good at what they did. And I thought about that for the next few years, that there's a lot of untapped potential in this part of the world. And so as we came to think about our company and how it might connect with more clients and serve more people around the world, India was one of those places that I thought this could be a great thing. Now, I also believe, and we can cover this in detail now or later as you choose, that India will become a bigger part of the world's economic system. I think it's going to grow. I think people are going to become attracted to making investments here. I think the Indian people and their talent at doing things with intelligence, it's going to attract more attention and therefore more industry, and therefore will improve over time the quality of life here, the quality of health here, and I think that speaks high praise for the future of this country.
Sure. So if I had to look at it from a client or your perspective, how do you really look at integrated solutions from concept to operation? I mean, it's like a 360-degree process. So how would you look at it?
Yeah, so I learned some of these things from what we call the school of hard knocks. I did some things in my career, then I'm like, well, that doesn't work very well. And one of those things that I learned that I thought was important, and I grew it into the rest of my career and into this role, is that sometimes companies, clients that are making pharmaceutical products, or even a data center client that's building a new data center, are really focused on the capital investment, meaning I'm going to design this, I'm going to build this, and then I'm done. And I realized as I started up plants in various parts of the world, I'm not done and they're not done when that moment comes. In fact, if they don't pay attention to the other parts of being operationally ready, their plant will be finished, but they won't effectively be able to serve the clients that they have in mind. And so I can talk, if you like, about the integration of different services in that space.
Yes, please do elaborate a little more on this.
All right, so if you think about the core of our business, where our company started was in equipment testing, so commissioning and qualification of systems in pharmaceutical plants. So whether those were air handling systems, or they were chromatography columns, or pumping systems, anything you can imagine that's part of a pharma plant, we as a company learned how to write the protocols for that, and then execute the protocols of the testing scripts for that, and then go into the field and operate that equipment and prove that it does what it's supposed to. And that was the core of our business for many years. And that's not enough, because even if you do that after design, construction, and then testing, you're still missing things like regulatory. How do you make sure your product is approved in the market that you want to sell it in? That's not something to do with no forethought. You really need to think about that well before you even start to build your facility. Things like, how do you qualify people? How do you help people to operate systems and do it well and do it the same way every time, which is kind of a hallmark or a core principle of the pharma industry. And guiding projects from a high level, program and project management, and maintenance systems. How do you take care of your equipment after it's been built? Process technology. How do you get the science right at the beginning of your program? Automation. How do you test your automation system? And all those things are service lines that our company provides that help our clients. Once those are stitched together and hooked together, those things help our clients that when it's time to make their product, they're ready to make it.
Sure. So could you elaborate a little more on the training and the technology, the marriage of both, and how CAI is really stepping in there?
Yeah, so I might call those things human performance. And so if you think about human performance in this way, at this time in the world, almost no plant is fully autonomous, meaning it doesn't just operate with robots. Now maybe someday they'll be like that, but I think that future is quite a ways off. And so people are a part of the system. And so as you think about bringing people into your plants to execute tasks, they need to know what to do. And so there are parts of setting up human performance in a way that for the best outcome. You have to know what task is going to be assigned. You have to select the right person for that task. You have to have a program that teaches that person how to do that task and work those things together so that while you're starting up this new plant, that person is learning how to use those systems. And at the go moment, you're going to make real product that's going to save real lives. Those people know how to do that.
Sure. So would this typically be CAI's methodology in assisting pharma clients to mitigate human error in GMP operations?
Yeah, so I would say a portion of human performance is human error reduction. And I like to be careful with that phrase, human error reduction, because it's not that people make mistakes on purpose, right? You and I probably made mistakes, maybe more so me than you, but in the way that we interact with things in our lives. And operators in a plant are no different. The systems that they are going to operate sometimes aren't intuitive. The instructions they receive on how to operate that sometimes are confusing, or they contradict each other. And so mistakes get made. And so reducing human error comes from evaluating the systems and how the operator interacts with those, as well as the procedures used, and kind of coordinating those two things and then teaching the operator. And the result is, after you get rid of the problems that cause people to make unknowing mistakes, that performance improves. And frankly, they'll enjoy their role more because they're not confused by the instructions. So for me, human performance and human error reduction are combined together. But the goal is to help people to do a great job every time in the simplest way possible.
Sure. So is CAI, in particularly in India, offering only CQE with NEET? What is the nature of engagement? So what's your thought?
Yeah, so NEET is a fantastic product. And it has grown in popularity around the world with lots of pharma clients. And I'm going to say even with some non-pharma clients, they're becoming interested in it. And so we're a partner with NEET, and we are excited and happy to grow that partnership because I think, and they think, the future of Cqv work is that it will be done more digitally. I think more and more it's going to move away from paper and into a system in a computer database. And so the more you can have a template that this is the way it looks, everybody's familiar with it, and a test script that everybody has pre-approved, and you use that again and again and again, it makes that whole process of testing systems that much more efficient. And efficiency means the costs are lower and things are done in a more repeatable way. So I think that our goal is to use NEET as often as possible. But if the client doesn't want to use NEET, that's okay with us. If the client wants to use paper, we can use paper. If the client has another process internally they prefer to use, we can use that. But I've studied the possible products that are out there, and I think NEET has some pretty interesting advantages.
Which leads me to the next question. Do you have any use cases of customers having benefited from using NEET?
Yes, we've worked with a number of clients, and I won't share the names of clients, but where we have developed the test scripts and done that electronically on very large scale investments, it's just a much more efficient way. I'm an older guy, so I was around when we were doing this more on paper, and I wish I could live in this day when I was doing that same kind of thing in a digital system. It's just so much easier. And so yes, we have supported clients in different parts of the world with that process.
Sure. So I'm going to digress a bit here. So CAI has also been helping a lot of data center clients as well, and there's a lot of work coming that way as well. So what are the key trends that you have been seeing in the data center space globally as well as in India, and what is CAI's play in this space?
Yeah, so as you're probably aware just from watching the world in general, the idea of data and being available instantly and without a gap or fail has become increasingly important in the world. There's no end to the number of mobile devices that people seem to carry today. And it almost doesn't matter where you are in the world and maybe even which social class that you are a part of at your present time. People are carrying devices. As I lived in China, there were people that were doing some of the labor tasks in the streets that They had a cell phone. And when I grew up, that idea didn't exist. And so it has exploded. And around India, as I walked around Bangalore just the other day, I saw this same thing. Everybody has a device. Everybody's connected. That's going to get bigger and bigger. And the bigger that gets and the more information that's there and the more people can access it, the better lives will be in general. Certainly technology has its downsides, but that's going to improve the way that people can get things and serve each other and connect with each other. But as that grows and the number of devices grow, the connection to a data center becomes that much more vital. There's so much more data that needs to be, quote, stored and accessed at a moment's notice. And so think about the population in India and how it's grown. Very large number of people. And their need for data is going to grow incredibly. And so there are lots of upcoming data center projects in India, especially that India is focused on Indian data in India data centers as a principle, I believe, for the country. And so that is going to happen. How you start those up, how you maintain those are important aspects of that work. We have that kind of expertise. We've done that with pharma plants. We do that around the world in data centers. And so we have this idea of we can do that, provide that same kind of service to get data centers started up faster and help them to run better.
Sure. So are you in conversation in that space?
Yes, certainly. We have a number of clients in India and, of course, outside of India where we're talking about these kinds of projects with them. And so we've just begun to serve those clients here in India, but we've generated a lot of interest and people asking us if we can help test and start up equipment in their data centers and more than that. So I'm looking forward to a long history, looking backwards of serving people and producing value in the area of data centers in India and the rest of the world.
Sure. So that brings me to this part about what do you think is CAI's mission and vision for the future, say for the next 2 years?
Yeah, so if I think about the next 2 years, in a way, it's still going to be connected to the first 26 years. The principles that we have, those are going to be our principles forever. Integrity, serving each other, serving society, looking and working for the future, always going to be a part of it. You'll find us, as you get to know us, we're a curious people as a company. We like to learn. We like to make progress where somebody says it can't be made. We like to be creative and explore how to do something differently that maybe no one's thought of before. And I think that'll always be a part of who we are as a company. Also, what will be a part of our next 2 years and beyond is trust. And so I think if you're delivering products, projects, et cetera, for people, if you do that with integrity and trust, it makes life better for everybody. And that's who we are and who we will always be. I think that will serve India well, and I think that serves the rest of the population on the planet very well.
Great. So thank you for those great insights, Mike. Wonderful to understand your journey globally as well as in India. So that was Mike Martin, President and CEO of CAI, sharing strategies of CAI and how pharmaceutical companies as well as the data center space needs to scale up to achieve business and strategic excellence. Thank you.